Good morning, all my beautiful friends out there. Guess I need to turn that music off, don't I? I was trying to jam out a little bit with it this morning. Okay, let's see here. How is everyone? Give it a few minutes, let everybody get in here. Beats kind of catchy a little, just a little bit. Nye, please make me a cup too, if you will. Okay. Give everybody a couple of moments to get in here and stuff. I want to send a shout out to everyone who showed up yesterday. Thank you. I think I can do this every day. So, yeah. Anyhow, I'm going to go ahead and get started because I really don't feel all that great today. Head stopped up a little bit and I have a bad kidney infection. So, um, I'm probably going to be going to the doctor here shortly. In the chat, you will see that I have dropped quite a few links. I dropped the one in case anyone wants to come up and be a guest panel with me, or be a guest on panel with me for a few moments or whatever. I have dropped a link for victimsforjustice.org. I can't believe I forgot about it, but this week is Crime Victims Week. Let me show you here about that. So, National Crime Victims' Rights Week is this week from April 6th through April 12th, 2025. The theme for this year is connecting kinship healing, emphasizing the importance of recognizing shared humanity and supporting all survivors and victims of crime. Um, I kind of wanted to get this out there, not only because I'm a survivor of a horrendous crime, but there's many other folks out there who um, need to have their voice heard. You get what I'm saying? So, you know, for instance, the trial, Lori Vallow, Arizona versus Lori Vallow Daybell trial, Charles was a victim of a narcissistic idiot. And that's what Lori is, a narcissistic idiot, which we'll get to the trial coverage from yesterday in just a moment. Um, Thank you, Nye. How's the weather over there? Is it good today? Pretty sunny here today, so let me think. What was I saying? Oh, um, but this week is kind of symbolic, you know. I want to talk about this. Last year during this time, I almost quit true crime completely. I not too much now. We'll go back and catch that though here in a moment. But last year during this time, in my family, I had a little cousin who went missing, and he was found unalived. He had been unalived by his brother, allegedly. When you come out of the trenches like I have, and then you get hit with news like that when it happens in your own family, um, it does something to you. I mean, I just about quit. true crime completely last year. And then this year, it's not been an easy year. I just lost my nephew last month to him unaliving himself. So, two big things that I'm very, very passionate about is the suicide prevention awareness stuff and being a voice for the voiceless, um, the victim advocacy. And thank you, Nah. And it was rough. I still have my moments, but like I said yesterday, I have a great support system um, who backs me up. And when I want to give up, they're like, no, they're just like you guys are were. Um, y'all still are actually, but yeah. So it's very important to recognize the ones who have been through it, um, and who are still here. It's also to keep the memory alive of the ones who are no longer here with us. Um, so that's that. Let me clear that one off. Doo-doo-doo. But this right here, hold on. There is a stuff going on. Hold on, let me see here. I did find this. I figured I'd let y'all see my pretty face today, even though it's not too pretty. So y'all, I know how some of y'all are. Y'all like, I don't want to see you, so I know you're okay. So, like I said, this year's theme is connecting kinship healing. Um, this is on the victimsforjustice.org site. They have a section that tells about them. They have a section for resources, where you can get referrals, community support, self help. And in that self help, well, let me just take us through there real quick. In that self help, it has all kinds of stuff. I didn't know that was there either. And indigenous women's and men and women, children, they do not get enough coverage. Linda Skeek, Linda Sheldon Skeek went missing in Anchorage on New Year's Day in 2016. She's never been found and is presumed to be a homicide victim. Linda is one of an unknown number of missing and murdered indigenous people in Alaska. Victims for Justice assisted Linda's maternal family after she disappeared, and during the trial of Linda's husband, the video tells Linda's story through interviews. I'm not going to show the video right now, but I dropped the link is there, and you can get to that wherever. They have a homicide memorial on here, and you can just fill that out or whatever, and yeah. So they are going to be having a homicide memorial ceremony in July, on July 19th, 2025, and it'll be held in person and live streamed via Facebook. Um, so that's for the memorial ceremony for them. Let's see what else they have. And we have the Victims' Rights Week. And on April 7th, which I think that's done past. Yep, it's April 9th. Oops. April 7th, they had a tree ceremony. But on the 10th, they have a Victim Service Award, and things like that you can purchase tickets for. I would have liked to have seen that ceremony. But there are several people I have come in contact with on Twitter, Facebook, all kinds of social media, I feel like deserve something like that. But yes, that's that. Okay, let's see here. Yep, he's just court right away. Are you talking about for the crime victims thing? Nye? You should be able to post it. You should. I gave you a winchy. But if you can't, I can, I guess. I don't know which link you're talking about, though. Okay, so we have that. Um, I have amped up my skills, Redditor skills, and I've dropped that link for my Reddit. I've dropped the link for my Facebook, I believe. No, not my Facebook. But yeah, I dropped the link for my Reddit. I would like everyone, if they would, to check that out and share that out because I want to try to build that up some because oh, what I just found about, okay, yes, night, I can do that. I think. Well, actually, um, I can't get into Discord right now on my laptop. It's being complicated, but I will put it on the screen and yeah, I've got it pinned and I'll drop it here soon after we get done with this. But now for the fun of the show. I mean, because why are we here? We are here to watch the Loco Lawyer Loco Lori. I'm not sure exactly how I want to name her because y'all know with each um case, especially with these psychopathic women, LaPP, malingering Stout, Letitia Stout, Loco Lori, which I think that fits her perfectly. Um, I come up with a name and Shabusiness. Yeah, Shabusiness has got the business. Have y'all seen that here lately? Oh, she done attacked another lawyer in the courtroom. Yes, if you have not seen it, thank you so much, Nye. If you have not seen the most recent disturbance from Taylor's to Business, let me know and I will pull that up for us because it was just like, wow, I can't believe she did it again. They know she's loco, so I don't know. Um, but one more thing happening this morning. We have a lot of stuff going on, y'all, and I'm sorry about not being able to see the chat whenever I have to share the screen or whatever, but I will get back to it. We have something else going on this morning. The wonderful Idaho student murders trial is happening. It's not the trial, but in 41 minutes, at 10 a.m., I guess that's my time, Brian Christopher Koberger, the criminology PhD student from Washington, Washington, whatever that's called, WSU, um, he will be in court Wednesday for a status hearing. Investigators believe Koberger stabbed and unalived 4 University of Idaho students in November 2022. He was arrested at his parents' home in Pennsylvania several weeks later, just before the new year. Ethan Chapin, Kaylee Gonzalez, Madison Mogan, and Xana Kernodle were unalived in the horrifying attack. I'll be watching it off of Law and Crime. I've dropped that in the chat. I know a lot of people, and they think that us web sleuths have went crazy with conspiracy theories, but I'm gonna tell y'all what. I mean, I hope I don't make anybody upset with this. I have never in my life been more involved in a case than the Idaho 4 case. I don't know if it's because I have a daughter who's the same age as the 4 were when they lost their life. I don't know if it's the complexity of the case. And think about it, you have these murders, these unalivings that happened in the wee hours of the morning, and so much has been uncovered since it first began, like the 911 call. Why couldn't they went ahead and gave us that 911 call in the beginning? I mean, it's a heartbreaking case, and I remember whenever the audio from Linda Lane and the neighbors or whatever come out, and I first heard, the male scream saying Santa. I had to take a Xanax. I mean, I did. I had to take a Xanax, and I couldn't do it. It really affected me. Um, but then, like I've said before, when you go through something yourself, and then um, you have to work on cases and stuff. And I don't get paid for the stuff I do. I do not get paid for it. I do my true crime stuff free of charge. Donations are accepted greatly. Um, but I'm not like all these other folks out here that just go and are basically tragedy pimps. That's one reason why I have so much love and respect for Burden, because she has a passion for this stuff like I do. And give her a big shout out, because last year when I first found out about my little cousin, she was right here with me online through, I think, the first couple of weeks for real through it. And on that, we're still going to court. I think he has a court appearance coming up sometime this month. I'm not stepping back from it, but I had to step back because I was like basically every day on the court site looking to see if there was some change or anything else. So I had to take a break and step back on that. But trying to get through all these links here that we have. I have the link for. Let me see. I put that down. All right. So now you burden. I assist with another server with research and stuff like that. And the one that's on the screen right now, the Reddit site, the original poster's named Sunzu. Wonderful person. Um, she's like Burton. I trust her as well. Um, when we had the fires break out in California, she's located out there, so it was like, oh no, it was like, so I've got her over there on California, and then I've got Burden over here on the East Coast, and then I'm right here in the middle, and then I got Nye over there in Germany. I got so um I'm just very thankful for all of you guys. The link that's on the front, on the under the link that is on the screen, is the link to the Reddit um site, and I will show y'all that here in just a moment. Let me pull that up. Here is that site. You can see justice for, Tylee, JJ, and Charles, Tammy. And even though, I'm gonna say this, even though Alex was the one behind everything, hey, I've got about 5 or 6 like that night. Um, I mean, I'm not giving Alex any acclamation because what he did was so wrong, but his passing, I feel like, is a Lord, let me be careful how I word this. I feel like, in my own personal and professional opinion, that Alex Cox, the one who allegedly unalived Tylee and JJ, and unalived Charles VALLOW, who we're in court for, he was a victim of Lori and Chad's as well. I mean, he's probably been a victim of Lori's his whole life. Do I think he died of natural causes? You know, you know how I am with my tinfoil hat. Nice. So, I do not. But I will tell you this, after listening to the testimony that we've listened to the past couple of days in this trial, um, and I've even went back and I've watched like um the testimony of like Tylee and JJ. I honest to God feel like that Alex, he may could have. I mean, people have bad hearts. They do. They have bad hearts. But I mean, he could have also had, um, consumed something that could have done it as well. But or that he could have had an evil spirit, and Lori and them just better watch it. They might get hit with another charge, and they need to. um, I feel like by them going and finding Tylee and JJ out there on Chad's property, I want to say that he left hints for him. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Um, because I'm gonna tell you right now, don't think I ain't gonna come back and haunt somebody if something crazy happens to me. It's gonna be some hell to pay. But yeah. So let me jump over here and let me show y'all some more of this stuff. We have a general discussion thread. We have the jailhouse interview right here. Let me see this real quick. Yes. This right here is just the I don't think it's the actual, well, it's the episode trailer. So let me just play that real quick.
Sit down. We're ready? Are you keeping track, Keith? Can we agree on that, Keith? Can I joke with you, Keith? Can we joke? Good one, Keith. You've heard a lot of stuff, Keith, and I'm here to say you've heard a lot of stuff, but what I tell you will be the truth. I thought we were going to be friends, Keith. I thought we were going to be friends. Get your facts straight, Keith. Aren't appearances not what they might seem to be, Keith? Could you get your life story out in 90 minutes, Keith? How old are you, Keith? Keith, we can talk all day. I can talk all day. I don't have anything to do. You can extend your time. Come back. Come see me.
I have no doubt.
Nye, I don't know if you've seen this yesterday or not, where you should. I mean, I'm just gonna keep my tinfoil hat on my full hat on my head on it, because it's crazy. Did you happen to see the part yesterday where Lori tells the judge she got it? She's got it. Did y'all see that? But I wanted to play that about the Dateline trailer, though, because I thought it was just perfect for this, because she's just, and I've got something else funny to show y'all too. I thought I just shared in the Discord, but it's plumb comical. I come up with this I found this thing called Biggle, Biggle, on Discord, and it animates pictures. Well, I actually got a picture of Lori sitting there like writing all hard and stuff, and it come up with a pretty neat quote for her. So yeah. But anyway, did you see that yesterday where she told the judge she's got it? We're gonna share that. We're gonna watch that real quick. I hope I don't get struck. I do not own the rights to this stuff. This is not mine. It's fair use.
That by the time the jury hands down a verdict in Lori Vallow's murder trial in Arizona, she's going to probably know her way around a cross-examination. But until then, it seems like the doomsday cult mom, who is acting as her own lawyer, will learn the rules of criminal procedure the hard way by being chewed out by a judge over and over and over again. She is making nonstop rookie mistakes and being smacked down by both prosecutors and the judge in front of the jury, because you have to be if you're making these mistakes. Yesterday, on just day one of testimony, Vallow was hit with dozens of objections for violating the rules against hearsay. And look, I know we all talk about hearsay, but the technical definition behind it is a reference to something that somebody heard from someone else. And it's usually a really big no-no in court. There are exceptions, yes. But navigating when it's an exception, you need a JD, a Juris Doctorate. You need a law degree. She doesn't have one. However, today she almost made it through the entire session without a single hearsay objection. That is, until the floodgates opened at the end of the day. And ladies and gentlemen, I give you Lori, the lawyer.
So were you there at the time when Alex did the walkthrough?
Yes, ma'am.
And so you were there. Did he describe where he was standing?
Object to hearsay.
Sustained.
Did he show you physically where he was standing?
Object to hearsay.
Sustained.
Was there a wall right next to where he was standing?
Object to hearsay.
Sustained.
The matter asserted, he observed this person standing in that place.
Well, you can ask him if he observed Mr. Cox standing in that place.
Okay, did you observe Mr. Cox standing in the room where he told you that the gun was?
I observed him standing in the vicinity that he indicated.
And was that in the hallway or in the main room?
I want y'all to notice here how she gets real, I guess you just say, I'll just say it, pissy. You can tell by the tone of her voice how she just goes from like matter of factly to like, you're going to answer what I want you to say, but just buckle up because it's fixing to get real good.
No, I'm going to object to hearsay. It's non-testimonial,
Right.
but it is still hearsay.
Okay. Rest of the day wasn't so smooth either. Sadly for Lori, she found a new way to piss off the court. Multiple times the state raised objections because Lori was asking questions that were irrelevant, right? They were not relevant. That's something you're not supposed to do. And one particularly awkward exchange prompted the judge to call a sidebar.
Have you spoken to the media about this case?
I'm going to object. Relevance.
What's the relevance?
What is the relevance, Your Honor?
Yeah.
Just to know how many times he's given testimony?
Your Honor, I'm
Right.
going
I'm gonna
to, maybe we can
Hold on.
sidebar.
Yeah, I don't want to. All right, let's go on a sidebar.
Yeah, that's never good. To Vallow's credit, I'll give her this. She takes most of the bumps in her very, very steep learning curve in stride. I said most, but not all. Because at one point today, she seemed to snap at the judge for trying to, like move her along.
So do you think that your CPR class would be fairly successful if you had no visuals?
Objection, relevance, speculation.
Yeah. Next question.
I got it, Your Honor.
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm going to
she
stop
said,
here
"I
and
got
I'm
it."
going to bring in two people who have had to endure all of it, like up close and personal. They've been following the courtroom action from actually inside the room. Lindsay Holler is the producer of my podcast, Drop Dead Serious, and Gigi McKelvey is the host of the podcast, Pretty Lies and Alibis. She's a
Yay,
longtime
Gigi.
friend of the show. Ladies, thank you first for enduring what you endured today to cover the story. And then thank you for being on the show. All right, so I'm going to start with you, Gigi, if I can. The cross-examination when Lori, takes to the floor, I am going to invoke the kids' expression. It's cringe. Like, I just want to crawl under a rock and wait for it to be over. And I'm watching it on a feed. You're in the room. Is it as bad or worse? And how's the jury taking it?
It's a little awkward, especially when she sort of switches to that flirtatious mindset with these witnesses, the little giggles, using the little girl voice. There have been a couple of jurors that seem very uncomfortable when this happens. And we've seen it a lot with Detective Coons, who was the last witness today. She didn't want him to testify as an expert witness, so I really thought she'd be hostile with him. But I guess she kind of switched over to kill him with kindness, giggle and say all these little things, after he speaks. In fact, the judge told her, you have to stop testifying. You're making comments after people give their testimony, and you can't do that. It is cringy at times. The jury definitely starting to pick up on it, as well as that little fiery exchange with all the objections today. Definitely took a day and a half for the real Lori to start coming out.
Yeah, I was kind of like popping the popcorn yesterday, but really waiting for the butter today because, we kind of know what this lady's like. We saw her with Keith Morrison, right? And it was not pleasant. She's rude. She's not deferential to a guy like Keith, who I would be. He's the king of true crime. But that judge is on the bench for a reason. He is, I just say it, he's better than us. He's up there for a reason. And she doesn't seem to get that. So Lindsay, jump in there with the whole notion of the eye rolling and the, like head shaking yesterday. Did she at least put that in check today?
I think so, a little bit. It was more muted, definitely. But then towards the end, she brought it back. It was there. It was, with her objections, or she would stop and she would say, oh, well, I wouldn't think of that, ha ha ha, and just she continued her antics. But I think it was a little bit more muted. But towards the end, it was out full force.
The giggle part, I just cringe at that because I do think jurors see through somebody who behaves like a tough lawyer on cross in one moment and then giggles like a schoolgirl in another moment. Lori has always been described as manipulative, Gigi, that she gets what she wants and often uses her sexuality to do it. I'm just going to say it. She's got 5 husbands. Had. They're, I think, almost all dead now. I can't remember. Are all 5 dead, Gigi, now that I think of it?
No, the only 2 out of 5 are Joe Ryan, which is Tylee's biological dad, and then Charles Vallow. Her current husband, dead man walking. He's on death row, so it's coming maybe at some point. That's the one.
Yep. They jumped the gun on that one. He's on death row. So, right. Okay. So let me ask you this. When the jury is not in the room, does that aspect of Lori Vallow come out more, knowing that she can do what she wants at this point? She can flirt with anybody she wants in the courtroom and the jury won't see it?
Not in a big way, Ashley. I mean, I saw more at these pretrial hearings as far as that fiery attitude, little defiant. But so far, and we're only on day 2, there hasn't been a lot of time where the jury's been out where we've had anything going on. So we really just haven't seen her in that capacity yet. But it is very interesting that switch today. It happened once she had 5 objections sustained. And the judge cracked me up, Ashley. He's waiting for that objection and he kind of goes, sustained, move on. It's just like he knew what was coming every time, watching him kind of look up to the ceiling and tilt his head and sustained and, having to tell her to stop testifying. She got flustered there at the end, and it started to be like a snowball effect. And I think the jury really was picking up on that because it was kind of a back and forth, watching the judge, watching her. They knew this was getting a little tense, a little frustrating for her. But as far as when the jury's not in the room, it's just not often that she's in there without them. I mean, they bring her in shortly before they bring the jury in. So there's just not a lot of time really. And she's typically talking to her advisory counsel or her investigator.
So Linz, jump in here with something. In some jurisdictions, I've seen this. I always actually love it. Jurors are allowed to write questions and submit their questions to the judge, and the judge will actually ask them. I think it's great. Very few jurisdictions do it, but this is one that does do it. And some of the questions today were like medical in nature. Do we know if there's someone on the jury panel who knows a thing or two about medicine? Because that's going to make a difference as to what the fact pattern was in the death of Charles Vallow.
Well, you're right. It certainly seemed like it was some of the questions because they were very technical. And did you follow the ACLS procedure? Did you do this? Did you contact a physician? So definitely seemed like someone who might have medical knowledge. But after the lunch break, it's actually kind of funny. A few of us noticed that, hey, this juror was actually on his phone in court in the jury box. And we don't know how, but I guess, other people must have seen it. And so the judge after lunch, he said, hey, I was actually advised that one of the jurors was on their phone right before they put some questions in, because there's a little box where the jury can put paper in as the testimony goes. And so, it kind of was like, well, man, do you have a medical background or did you just Google that? And, he said he wasn't. He was texting his daughter. I didn't even know you could have your phone in the jury box in general. So it was definitely shocking to see.
Are they literally allowed to have their phones in the jury box and have them out?
Yes, yesterday there was someone's phone was vibrating and it was next to a microphone. So during the middle of a testimony, everyone's looking around like, what's going on? Like, because you can hear it. And then the judges said, hey, juror so-and-so, you might want to grab your phone. I think that was the buzzing. So it's something I've ever
Yeah, I
seen
didn't
before. And I
notice that
think
either night,
it's
that there was
crazy.
a juror that had a cell phone.
Yeah, I have not seen that before either. And that's definitely something, I'm not crazy about that. I'm not going to lie. Hey, Lindsay Holler, Gigi McKelvey, thank you both for the observations. I'm going to call you back. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley.
It's one thing to watch all of this from a distance and like roll our
Hold on
eyes
one
and just,
second, yeah.
cringe. But what is it like to have to preside over someone like Lori? I'd have to ask a judge about that. And thank God for Judge Ashley Wilcott. She's a TV anchor on Court TV. She was formerly a trial attorney and also juvenile court judge in Georgia. And I'm a huge fan. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, likewise. Thank you, Ashley. Appreciate it.
Okay, Judge Wilcott, I'm going to put you to work here. Put your judge's hat on and imagine what it's like to preside in this trial. What kind of patience does it require? And when does that patience run out and when should it?
Well, this judge is amazing. I agree with something you said earlier, which is he's a saint because he has handled it beautifully. And I'm going to admit this, as much as any pro se defendant might drive a judge crazy, the reality is a lot of attorneys can drive a judge crazy. Think about it. If you've watched trials, sometimes attorneys are really unbearable. And so this isn't that different. It's just a different set of issues that a judge has to manage.
Is there a point, though, Judge Wilcott, where this judge will have to stop her and protect her from herself? Meaning, if you continue with these objections, these admonishments, these stop and starts, it will affect how the jury sees her, and it will eventually be a problem for her defense. When is that, and how do you decide that?
Yeah, what a great question. It's really a fine line because you have to give a little bit of latitude and grace to a pro se defendant. Anyone has the right to represent themselves. Is it a good idea? Absolutely not. Is it allowed under our United States Constitution? It is. But you also want to protect the record. You don't want to give her all these appellate issues that she can raise and win on, right? Because if there's a conviction, then you want it airtight. And so the reality is you're going to let her get away with some things that you may not let an attorney get away with, but it just ensures that she does everything she wants to within the rule of law, to present the evidence, to have every shot she can so you do not have to deal with an appeal.
So our producer, God bless him, long-suffering, had to count the number of times Lori actually uttered, "The evidence will show," in her opening, and it was 68 times. We saw the number of times there was an objection over hearsay. I lost count after several dozen. She actually said to herself, "Oh, that's not a good question," in the middle of asking it. She's been admonished for irrelevant questions regularly. And then she snapped at the judge. It seemed like she snapped at the judge. "I got it, Your Honor." At some point, could she be held in contempt for this?
Sure. So first of all, I think that no judge would put up with an attorney saying, "I got it, Judge." A judge is going to rein you right in and say, "No, lawyer, you know better in a courtroom. You don't treat the judge like that. Regardless of what you think of the judge, you respect the position." And I think that she got her chance to act that way. I think if she does it again, or Ashley tries to do it more than once, I think that's when the judge will likely have a sidebar. So it's not in the presence of the jury. So it's not indicating a bias against her, to rein her in and say, "You can't behave like that. There's courtroom decorum. There's courtroom etiquette. I expect you to adhere to that, just like I expect the prosecutors to adhere to that. If you can't do it, this is your warning." Right? You can't just as a judge say, "You're in contempt because you suck." You can't do that. Instead, you have to say, "These are the things you're not allowed to do in my courtroom. If you continue to do it, you will be facing possible contempt. Here are the results of that possible contempt." And then the judge can do it. So I think he'll do it outside the presence of the jury initially if he feels like he has to do it. But if she pushes a judge too far, eventually it's going to bite her in the butt. And who knows what the jury's thinking of her as they're getting distracted by the evidence will show, the evidence will show. They probably didn't even hear what she said the evidence will show.
And we always hear it, these trials can be won or lost in openings. There is a reason I'm a huge fan of yours, Judge Ashley Wilcott. Thank you for coming on. Do it again, please.
Yes, please. But you're amazing. Thank you for having me.
Oh, I want to just preserve that clip. We'll see you again soon, Ashley. Thanks for this.
Take care.
Great name, by the way, too.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find
Okay, so y'all bear with me just one moment. I'm just working on something here. Okay, I didn't realize it was so close to 10 o'clock. So I have taken and set up the stream for the motion hearing for Idaho, for the Idaho 4 case. So if anyone wants to check that out at 10, we can do that. But that was that for the one part of Lori Vallow. The other links I have up there, this one is from eastidahonews.com. Nate Eaton has been on this case since it first began. Well, I'm gonna stream it here shortly, so I'll end this about 5 till so I can jump over and get it up and going good. There are so many documents, so many documents, you do not, that have come out in that case. So many. Yes, I don't know. No. When anyone wondering, Johnny Cash is still around. That cat is tougher than a set of woodpecker lips. I'm just being honest. That's the saying that we have, and he's tougher than woodpecker lips. I have lost a few. Grady, my gray cat that Johnny and Yami had, one of the first ones. Long story short, I felt like I was on Pet Cemetery for a moment because there was a cat that got unalived out here in front of one of the homes where I live, and it looked just like Grady. So me and a friend of mine took and buried him. The next day or 2 or 3 days after we buried him, I start hearing animals on my roof. Now, all you that know me and have been on this journey with me with these animals, y'all know that my cats will get up on my roof just to aggravate me. Well, lo and behold, I thought it was Johnny Cash up there. It was Grady. Grady is alive. I'm gonna nickname him Church, but he is alive. But he's doing good. I no longer have Yami. I no longer have Bootsy. I have a baby Bootsy. He's a tan one. He's got white boots. I have baby Jay still. I don't have Reba anymore. Yeah, but that's it with the kitty cat stuff. I still got too many, to be honest. Okay, so let's see here. Share my screen. I'm just gonna show this real quick because it's getting close to that we need to check out. Okay, share. Okay, this is on yesterday's just the last hour, so we're just gonna shoot down here to this. The officer that was on the stand is Deputy Detective Coons. We'll just run through this real quick. How's that? Okay, so they had a sidebar about somewhere or another, about 3, well, they had recess at 2:57 yesterday. 3:20, they were back in court. Trina K continued to show photos of the house and the gun Alex Cox used to shoot Charles Vallow. And I also want to give a shout out to the docket. Eric, he has actual pictures of some things. If you're not a member of his or whatever, check him out. He's wonderful. If there's a document to be found, court related, he can find it. He's one of my good friends. So, Trina K asked Detective Coons if he observed blood anywhere in the house, and he said no. They showed a photo of a garbage can in the kitchen. There's no bloody towels or anything with blood in the trash can. Coons looked throughout the house for anything relevant because they had one chance to gather evidence, critical information, which is the same way in everything. They showed some of the face. There was no blood evidence, basically. There were no trails, no swipes of blood anywhere other than the sink faucet in the kitchen where Charles was at. Coons was talking about the gunshot wounds on Charles Vallow's body. When he arrived at scenes, he relies on what he has learned and the information he gathers to figure out what happened. He said that there was a bullet in the sternum. Trigger warning for everyone. There was a bullet in the sternum and one in the abdomen area. And your sternum is like right here, in between your breasts. Men and women have them, so yes, in between your breasts is your sternum. And there was one in the abdomen area. Said Coons observed a gunshot wound to the left of his spine and one to the left shoulder blade, scapula area, which would probably be right about here, somewhere like that. So that looks like 3 gunshot wounds to me. 2 entrance wounds, 2 exit wounds, Coons says. He describes the trajectory of the bullet that embedded the bullet into the baseboard of the room. The bullet went through Charles and ended up in the baseboard. Coons says measurements were taken of the body before it was moved. Coons attended Charles' autopsy. He watched through a window and communicated with the phone on the wall with the medical examiner in the room on the other side of the glass. Coons said the autopsy further supported his belief that Charles was shot while he was lying on the ground. Coons describes the entrance and exit wounds and the projectile going into the baseboard. Coons left the house around 4:30, and that ended his involvement in processing the scene. Trina has no further questions. Lori asked for a few minutes to confer with her advisory council. Judge says briefly, Your Honor, this is an important cross, and I don't want to get interrupted by it, Lori says. Beresky says, we have over a half hour, so we're going to get started. Lori says, okay. Lori requests a sidebar. Headphones and mics are put on. White noise is played in the courtroom. Judge needs to excuse the jury to resolve something. He has them go to the jury room. Lori just left the courtroom. Unclear why Lori left. Her defense advisors, the judge, and prosecution remain in the room. Lori is back with a smile on her face. Judge says, all set. She says, yes. Lori moves to the podium and jurors will be brought back in. Lori will be using some photo exhibits during her cross-examination. Lori begins. Hold on a second. Let me check the chat here. Oh, goodness. How many do I have in total now? I think I have like, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 9, 8 inside, Johnny Cash outside, and I also have 2 other ones outside, and a new one's just popped up. All right, what time is it? 9:53. Okay, we're going to do this. Okay, what I wanted to stop for a second on that was about how Lori just leaves the courtroom. Like, does she not realize that she is in custody, that she cannot do that stuff? I mean, what's really going on here? Sorry. Lori asks when. Okay, Lori begins by asking if Coons was at the scene, was a scene agent that day. He says yes. Lori asked if he worked for other places before he was a police officer. He was in the military, Department of Corrections, a few other jobs. Lori asked when Coons wrote his report on the shooting incident. He doesn't recall, and he specifically started typing it within a week, maybe. Lori says Coons doesn't remember. Lori asks who was at the scene when he arrived that day. He says patrol officers, Alex Cox, and perhaps the fire department. 4:30, Coons asks when he arrived that day. Coons says when he arrived that day, they debriefed. Hold on a second, y'all. My eyes are giving me problems. My allergies are acting that bad. They debriefed and came up with a plan about the investigation. Lori asked what other detectives were there. He names a few and says he didn't take a roll call. Lori asked where he went after the debriefing. Coons says he gave information to a detective back at the police station so he could obtain a search warrant. They then waited for the search warrant. And they got the warrant back and entered the home around 11:30 to 11:45 a.m. Coons entered the house with a crime scene tech and perhaps Detective Duncan. That would have been the extent of the initial people who went in. After all that, the crew went with the normal process of taking photos, Lizard Q, getting information for diagram, and kept doing our job. Lori asked if the detectives all went to the same rooms or if they split things up. Coons says they divided and conquered. Lori says how long it took to take the photos. I don't ever look at my watch because it's a big house, as you're aware, and it's a big job. He responds. They started taking photos around noon. Coons really looks at his watch to see how much time he's spending on something because he wants to do his job, not worry about how much time it's taking. He did not pick up most of the evidence. They normally defer to crime scene techs to do that. It says investigators work with the crime scene techs on the investigation. Coons says makes sense. Lori responds. She asks what else they did at the house. He says his day involved the scene. It was spent at the house. Coons left the house between 4 and 4:30 p.m. Lori asked what other tasks he did between 12 to 4:30 p.m. I just don't know what you were doing, she says. He says they were looking for other evidence, turned, taking measurements, waiting for the medical examiner. Lori asked about the type of the weapon being found. It was a .45 caliber. Coons said a revolver is like, Lori wanted to know what the difference was between a revolver and a .45 caliber, and Coons says a revolver is like a wheel gun from a Western movie. Police officers these days carry semi-automatic. It's just basically the same thing back and forth. A sidebar. Let's see here. I mean, Lori, she was doing pretty good, I guess you could say, on the questioning and things like that. So Lori asked him about him observing the autopsy and whether there was stippling. He doesn't recall if it was on the coroner's report. Lori asked if stippling was found. How far would it be from the victim? He says he is not an expert on stippling patterns and would need to check with the lab. Lori is done asking questions for the day. We're taking a recess till tomorrow. Judge asked Lori to identify the photos she will need before tomorrow morning. You have the habit of when a witness answers a question to add something to the end of their answer, like, I wasn't aware of that, or I don't know much about guns, or previous witnesses, you say that's what I recall. When you say that, it's a form of testifying. I'm going to caution against that. Judge says, oh, she's going to get it. Trina says the defense sent some subpoenas to detectives saying they need to appear tomorrow. There was no phone number on them. According to Trina, Judge asked who the detectives should call to find out. Lori says her investigators, those witnesses, can call the investigator. Lori says they don't need to report tomorrow. All righty. So let me end that right there. Oh, goodness gracious. Alive. You can have some of mine. Seriously, I got too many. All right, so that's basically about sums it up. There's a few things I want to touch base on, which I can on the other one while we're waiting. But I want to go ahead and switch over to the case in Idaho. So I'm going to close this out, and I will see you over there. Okay. Y'all have a great day, and thank you for showing up.